Let's play a round of Deal or No Deal, one of my favorite game shows. I love this. Today we're gonna go through 2 deals that we are actually underwriting. First property, New York. Second property, Connecticut. Before I get into it, I wanna tell you something real quick. I have a terrible mistake of doing this. I think bigger is better, and guess what? Bigger is not always better. You really have to drill down on the numbers and see where your cash is going and see what kind of returns you get, and today we're gonna go through that. First, the New York Triplex. This property is relatively inexpensive. It has decent rents, and the overall return on investment is great. The problem with it is that it doesn't actually earn you a significant amount of money. The Connecticut 9 unit is big. It's sexy. Everybody wants the big commercial building, right? But guess what? It really doesn't cash flow. And today I'm going to tell you why. Let's start with a triplex in New York. It's on the market for $123,000. 3 units, all rented for a gross rental income per month of about $2,500. We have all the standard items: taxes, insurance, maintenance, management, vacancies. Don't make this mistake. Don't skip out on vacancies. Don't skip out on management. It's so easy to delete these columns, but guess what? Everybody has maintenance. Everybody has vacancies. You're doing yourself a total disservice if you zero these columns out. We've got water, sewer, heat, electric, trash, and snow removal. One of the biggest factors in underwriting these deals, and is pretty much the first question I ask of any seller, is who pays these utilities? Is it all on the owner, or is it on the tenants? We want it to be on the tenants. This particular property is all tenant paid other than the owner's meter. If you're wondering what an owner's meter is, pretty much every property that's over one single unit has an owner's meter, and that just covers the common hallways, common areas. Those spaces are usually not tenant paid. Those are landlord paid. Ideally, we want the tenants to pay for the lights and the heat in their own units, but we can't really ask them to pay for those items in the common spaces. So this particular property has tenant paid utilities, and of course, we have a little bit earmarked for the landlord. As we scroll down here, we're going to get some other figures. These figures are going to be net operating income. We've got the debt service coverage ratio. We've got the monthly mortgage payment. But what we really want to be concerned with as we scroll down here is what's the return on this? Like, if we spend this money, what is going to be the return that we get for the time invested and for the money invested? And that's where these particular figures come in. We can see that we've got a cash on cash figure and we have a cap rate figure, and I've even defined them here for you. So cash on cash return is the annual before tax cash flow versus the amount of cash invested. Okay, so what's that mean? We're going to measure via that metric the amount of cash that it took to get into the deal versus what you're putting in your pocket at the end of the day is really what that measures. So if we double click on this, we can see that we are measuring the net income after mortgage versus the difference between the sales price and the loan amount, which is going to be the down payment. So for our investment of $30,750, we are going to make in 1 year, after everything is paid, $7,278, which is going to return us approximately 24% on our money. That's pretty darn good. The next metric we have here is the cap rate. What's the cap rate? I've defined it here for you. It is an assets unlevered return. Okay, so what's that mean? That basically means what is the return on investment if you had no mortgage? So what does this particular number weigh? I'm going to double click here for you. We're going to be weighing the net operating income versus the purchase price. So remember, this metric says that you have no mortgage on the property, so we are just weighing the sales price because we are assuming that we paid this number in cash versus the net operating income. The net operating income is basically the total rents minus all of the expenses that you know every property has: taxes, insurance, maintenance, water, sewer, all of those items. And that is the figure that we get here. So a 12% cap rate is pretty solid, but what I really like is this cash on cash. That's a really, really solid number. So at the end of the day, for the New York property, is $7,000 a lot of money in one entire year? Not really, but if I could tell you that I will give you $7,000 every single year that you own this property, if you give me $30,000, in theory, after approximately 4 years, you would pretty much get your money back. So that is a great deal. Now, I want to move on to the Connecticut 9 unit. We've got 9 units. Everybody wants those commercial buildings, but guess what? This one is a real deal that we underwrote. So we kept the vacancies in here. We kept all of the numbers the same. If you look up here, we've got all of the rent roll. We've got 2 vacancies, and this particular one is occupied by a superintendent. The superintendent is basically just an on-site property manager. So he pays a drastically reduced rent. Yes, that's just a studio, but we could get at least double for him here. We've got 2 vacancies, but look at this. We're earning $7,500. We're earning $90,000 a year. Let's go back to the Connecticut Triplex real quick. $29,000. So $29,000 versus $90,000. I mean, just off that alone, I'm all for the 9 unit at this point, but let's dig into it a little bit more. We've got a sales price of almost 6 times. We're at almost $700,000 for this property. Look at the taxes. The taxes are $13,000 a year. We've got the basics premium, insurance premium. We've got the maintenance in here. Again, we've underwritten this at 5%, just like we did on the New York property. We have property management in here. We've got water, gas, sewer, and electric. We have trash, but I really want to highlight this number. This is what I was saying before. We have to be so cognizant about who is paying for these utilities. And guess what? This is all on the landlord. This particular property only had one entire unit for the entire building, was one heating source. That's super dangerous for your wallet, because you're going to be paying all sorts of costs for these tenants. In the winter, guess what? They're going to crank their heat, and you have no control over this. Yes, you can put certain things on the thermostats, but this particular building did not have any of that. These people were paying out the ear $25,000 a year just in utilities. That was almost the entire amount that the New York City Triplex earned the entire year. They paid it in utilities. It's just crazy. So as we continue to scroll down here, we have our net operating income figure, and you can see this is a very, very far cry from the 90,000 that we started with. I mean, that 90,000 really gets whittled down between this large tax figure and the utilities that are due. And as we continue down here, we can see that the net income after mortgage is negative $10,000. So if I invest my money in this property to the tune of $200,000+ for a 25% down payment, I will be lucky to earn a negative $10,000 bill. That is not where we want to be. So far, this thing is a total loser. And again, we've got the cash on cash at a negative rate, and we have the cap rate here at 4%. A far cry from where we were at with the New York Triplex that was actually earning money. But things do get better. What I always like to include is a pro forma. And a pro forma is basically just what you can expect in the future. So let's just assume that we kick the super out, we get these units vacant that are vacant, we get them rented, and we get all of these properties up to speed, all of these units up to speed. We are now rocking and rolling at $11,700 a month, and we're earning $140,000, $50,000 more per year than where we started. And again, all of these numbers are the same. You're still gonna be paying your crazy utility bill and all of your taxes, but look, we're in much better shape. We could potentially be earning $31,000 per year on this building. That's not bad. But what I really, really want to highlight and what I want to figure out if this is a deal or no deal situation is for this $31,000 that we could potentially get, it's going to cost us $200,000 to get into this deal. On the New York Triplex, a much smaller building that certainly earns less, it's only going to cost us $30,000. At the end of the day, if we got this thing up to speed on the pro forma side, we're going to be earning $11,000. A lot of you are probably thinking, okay, $11,000 versus $31,000. I'd take the $31,000, but you're not factoring in the cost that it took to get into the deal. On the 9 unit, $200,000. On the New York Triplex, $30,000. I could buy over six triplexes for the cost of this one 9 unit that might earn money down the road. For today's deal or no deal, I'm saying deal on the New York Triplex and no deal on the Connecticut 9 unit. This was so fun. I love doing this. We analyze deals all day. We should make this a series. Comment down below if you want to see more of this. And what we're going to do is go to www.skytreeinvestments.com/podcast, fill out your information, and we're going to give you this exact spreadsheet that we use every single day to analyze deals. We will literally send it to you so you can analyze your own deals. If you have any questions at all, please ask us. Leave us a comment, leave us a review, like, comment, and share. Thank you so much. And remember, sky's the limit.